Hello, 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 my lovely disciples. How are you all this fine evening? Hope that you are well and that you are enjoying the spooky season. Sorry for kind of going missing this week, but I decided today I was feeling a bit better. You know, got my last day of work tomorrow, had my last day in the field yesterday, got a lot done today, got an audio edited today, with more on the way, and let me turn that music down. There we go, that's better. Feel free to let me know if the music is too much, too little, what have you. But in the meantime, let's get to it. There's stories to read, good times be had, and spooky tales to be afraid of. One moment, please. Just finding a thing here. All right, perfect. Sorry, getting a few sips of tea before we leap into the stories. Let me do a currently reading thing. Um, reading. I don't know if any of how good any of these are. However, that's okay. There we go. That's good. That's good. All right. So, this is Anansi's Goatman story. Saved from 4chan's X board on Friday, September 28th, 2012 at 1:31 a.m. Eastern Time. So let's get into it. Here's my story. Be 16. Be black and have family down in Alabama. They farm and own a huge amount of land down in Huntsville. Uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put out in the woods for hunting or camping. Down south, cousins suggest that we go out there to camp. Know I'm a city kid from Chicago, so they tease the fuck out of me. Collect food, kill a pig and some chickens, and bring necessities to camp out for a few days. We get to the camp and it's obvious something is weird. Air has this weird electric smell, like right before a storm. Like ozone. We think nothing of it and unpack and go down to a little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and a white teenager come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello, and asks us what we're doing this far back in the woods. Tell him about my uncle, who he knows, and say we're camping out. He tells us we need to be real careful out here and stick together because there was a big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asks if he can stay and hang out with us. He says okay. I'm going to stop green texting because the story is fairly long and the format is harder to write in. So, that's literally written in there. So, okay. It was written in green text format before that. So, we end up playing football. Sticking around with me, there's this white kid, Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and then 4 of their friends. In total, there were 5 girls and 6 boys. We were all around 15 to 17, and we ended up just dicking the day away. Eventually, we head back to the camp and pull out some stuff for a campfire, even though the trailers both had kitchenettes. Tanner says that his family's property sits up against my uncle's. He wants to run home and ask his dad if he can come out camping with us. My cousin Rooster says he's going to go with him since it's going to get dark soon. One of the girls also wants to tag along. It's about 7 o'clock and it's starting to get pretty dark. They grab flashlights and take the trail toward Tan's property. The rest of us chill, make s'mores, drink, and kiss on the girls. About 30 or 40 minutes later, there's the smell of ozone again. You could notice it over the scent of the fire we had started. This real nasty coppery smell, like right after you've had a nosebleed and it stopped. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that metallic, back of your throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction or that someone's left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing's on, but we can all smell it. All of a sudden, we can hear people booking it down the path towards us. Rooster, Tan, and the girl all come running into the clearing out of breath, and they don't even break stride. They all run into the trailer right by where the fire is. We all get the fuck out of there and into the trailers. They end up calming down. Even Rooster is crying his fucking eyes out at this point. All the while, the fire is guttering lower and lower. So my other cousins say fuck it and are about to go outside to go get the generator out of a shed between the trailers. Tanner goes, fuck no. Lock the front door. Ain't nobody else going outside. He's been crying too. His eyes are bloodshot and puffy and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that they went up to his house. His father said sure, he could go out camping, but to make sure they were careful on the way back, and that maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in their yard a few days before. One of their pigs had been ripped up and half-eaten. They assumed it was just some big cats or coyotes, even though they don't usually fuck with live animals. Tanner went upstairs, packed his stuff, and told his dad they would be okay without the rifle because coyotes avoid people. Then they started walking back toward where we were camping. Get a sip and hello, Oncey. Welcome on in. How you doing? We're just gonna read some spooky stories tonight and have a good time. Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. The girl already had, but now was just staring out the window with a dumb look on her face. He says they had gotten halfway into the woods towards the camp when they'd started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black by this time, so they weren't sure at first what the hell it was. The girl says that she heard something in the bushes right off the trail. They all beamed their flashlights over there, and there was someone standing in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster said they shouted at him and told him that he was scaring the fuck out of him and what a dick he was. He says that's when he realized that the guy was facing away from them. They keep walking and they start smelling the nasty coppery ozone smell. They say that they look off into the forest on the opposite side and there's a dude standing there, backward, slightly closer to the path. So now they start power walking and Tan keeps going, should have taken the fucking rifle. As they're telling the story, the smell is still super strong, even inside the cabin. And they say that after they started walking faster, a kind of low gibbering had begun coming from both sides of the wood. As they booked it back to the trailer, the girl said she flashed her light out to the side of them and saw something jerking itself through the woods. The gibbering just got louder and louder, and when they could see the light from our campfire, something had come out of the woods about 40 yards behind them onto the track. Then they just flat out ran as hard as they could to the trailer. So, we're out in the fucking woods. We're assuming at this point it's some rednecks or some shit trying to fuck with us. all of a sudden, my other cousin, Junior, starts going on about how he went to school with a native kid that was telling him about the goat man or some shit. We promptly tell him to shut the fuck up because we don't need any spooky talk right now. But he just keeps going on and on about how it's the fucking goat man and how we're in his woods and blah, blah, blah. Now, at the time, I had never heard of this goat man or any of that. But then a couple years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I heard a menem from a roommate and I ended up asking him about it. And to sum it up, it's basically a fucking man with the head of a goat. And he can shapeshift and get among groups of people to terrorize them. It's also supposed to be kind of like the Wendigo. It's bad mojo to even talk about it, and even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know this back when I was 16, so my cousin is going, the goat man's gonna get in and fucking get us. The girls are all terrified, and my cousins and I are all fucking trying to figure out if it's just some hillbillies or an animal. And all of a sudden, the smell just goes away. To this day, I haven't even experienced anything like it. Obviously, smells usually fade away or lessen, but it literally was just there 1 second and not the next. So, it's after an hour, maybe at 9 or 10. We've stopped shitting bricks enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figured it was just some assholes trying to fuck with us, so we don't go back home, because we think if we do, they'll chase us through the woods or some crazy shit. Nothing else weird happens that night. We stay another night, and for the main part of that night, nothing happens. But at about 1 in the morning, we're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories. And as someone is finishing up some too spooky story, I don't remember what about, the smell comes back. It's so strong that one of the girls literally starts vomiting. I stand up and you can actually feel how clammy the air is. I say we should get inside and that this isn't right. We should have just left. We all go back inside and we're standing around. My cousin keeps going on about how it's the goat man. My other cousin Rooster tries to shut him the fuck up. And all the while, I'm just feeling that something is wrong. And I can't figure out what it is. We end up sitting in there for a while. The smell is just as strong and we're terrified and all huddled in this camper. We end up cooking brats for everybody because nobody wants to go outside. It's just one of those packs with 4 brats. We have a total of 3 packs. I grill them up on the stove and give everyone a hot dog. Then get mine. After a while, one of my cousins gets up and goes over to the pot to get another one. He starts grumbling about how I got 2 brats and everyone else only got 1. I look at him like he's fucking stupid. I tell him that everybody only got 1 because there were only 12 brats, and that if he wanted more, he should open up a new pack and cook some more. That's when the girl that had been out with Rooster and Tan just starts screaming, "Oh Jesus, oh Lord, get it!" She's crying and shivering, and then it dawns on the cousin standing up, what is wrong? Me and him both glance around the room, and I feel my heart sink. I run out of the cabin, and the girl runs out with us. The trailer door is banging against the side of the trailer as everyone books it out. One of my cousin's friends asks us what was wrong. I start counting us. There's only 11 now. I shit you not, my cousin verified. There had been 12 people in the cabin, but being that everybody didn't really know each other well, nobody had noticed the whole time that there was an extra person. And then I realized earlier that I kind of noticed something was off. You know how when you're just sticking around, having a good time, you don't sweat the small stuff, and you don't always keep track of certain things? I'm dead sure that someone else had been in the trailer with us, and that they had been there for at least a day, eating with us. What makes it worse is that I couldn't figure out who it was, because I don't think anyone ever actually interacted with the other person, the goat man, whatever. The girl kept praying to Jesus, and we're all sitting outside. Eventually, we get big ass sticks and go back in the cabin, but there's nobody in there. We count again, and there's 11 people. We go back into the trailer and lock the door. We explain what happened. The girl says that she realized too, and that when she was about to say something, the person sitting next to her grabbed her leg hard, leaned over toward her, and said something she couldn't understand. So we're pretty much just scared out of our minds as we huddle together, and I fall asleep. When I wake up, the sun is just coming up, and half the people are asleep, and the other half are packing our stuff up. We all want to walk back home, but like 4 people want to stay until the sun is all the way up, and some people think that we're just screwing around and still want to stay at the trailers. I just want to get the hell out of the woods. The girl's name was Kyra, the one the goat man had touched. Anyway, I ask her if she really thinks it was something bad, and she says she just wants to go home and that she doesn't want to be out in the woods alone for another night. So, we decide to split up. The 4 of us that want to go can go. But I have to stay because I have the keys to the cabin, and it's my uncle's, and I have to lock up. I'm super pissed at this point because I feel like people aren't taking this shit seriously, and I definitely didn't want to be out in the woods for another night. I spend the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, now 4 girls and 4 guys, to get the fuck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves with them to go get a rifle and says he's gonna be back. So there are just 7 of us left by 4 p.m. At around 5 p.m., he hasn't made it back yet, and we're getting extremely antsy. The only reason I stopped begging them to leave was because he went to go get a gun. At around 5:30 p.m. or so, the one cousin that did stay says that the girl Kyra is outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing by the fire pit with her back to the cabin. I'm thinking to myself, if she was so scared, why the hell would she come back? And then I get this nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, this whole time the coppery smell has been gone. Now I realize I can smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them, everybody. These are the people that wanted to stay in the woods after we had the goddamn goat man in our midst. He's laughing at me and asking if I set this up to scare them. I'm looking at them like, I'm not fucking bullshitting you right now. I asked them why I would play around with something like that. So, one of the girls goes outside to get Kira, whatever. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kyra starts heaving. I don't know how to describe it. Sort of like if someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making any sound. It was this fact that made me realize there was not a sound in the whole woods. It was dead silent. This was like late September, so it was still fairly hot at the time, but a bit chilly on some days too. But you could usually hear some big-ass geese honking or some kind of birds or squirrels chit-chatting. I step out of the door and tell the girl to come back in the trailer right goddamn now. She backs up into it and we lock the door. We pull the shades down except one and put a guy there in a chair to watch Kyra. She stands there for another 20 minutes or so. Eventually, the guy turns to say she's still there, and there's a huge bang on the door. We all jump up and scramble around the living room of the trailer. The banging is super fucking loud. My cousin is holding one of the girls. The other 2 are kind of giggling with nervous laughter. And me and the other 2 guys are shitting bricks. Then we hear Tan. He's screaming, "Let me the fuck in! Stop fucking playing!" We go over to the door and open it. And he stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody else outside. Evidently, he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl. Mind you, he said it was not Kyra standing there. When he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned toward him with a slack-jawed look and just stared him down. slowly tracking him as he walked around the outside of the clearing towards the camp. He said he wasn't till he was almost halfway to the trailer that he'd realized she was getting closer to him. She had started off by the fire, and without him even seeing her move, she had been churning, inching closer. He said he just ran the rest of the way to the back to the cabin, thinking it would open. When he got to the door and it was locked, he turned and it was about half the distance to the door. He looked around the room and gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers, "You know, there are only 7 of us in here, right?" And I get that feeling when your stomach drops to your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where, and then when we all went outside to talk earlier in the day, it had just slipped right back in. We look out to the window and there is nobody there. So we recount, and then I go over and ask everyone how many people were here earlier. And everyone says 8. I say, well, how many are here now? They all do the count and realize there are now only 7 people in the cabin. One moment. I need a sippy. And hello, Calm Mom. Welcome on in. How's it going? Yeah, I'm not expecting high viewership today, given that I, kind of dropped this on people last minute. So, no worries. Thanks for dropping by at all. It is appreciated. Get some water too. I'm drinking licorice tea. Very tasty. Tan had brought back a couple of boxes of ammo in his rifle. He had told his dad that there was some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't think he would believe him if he said it was the goatman. He says that his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours and that in the morning we can all go back to his place and his cousin will drive us home. Now, I'm really terrified, but I at least feel better because we can be American and shoot the hell out of whatever it is if it comes back. But then my cousin gets into this huge argument with one of the girls because she thinks that I'm trying to be funny and prank them. She's getting real scared and thinks I'm not funny. He keeps telling her I'm not that kind of person, and she says, well, how do we know the girl wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it's really the Goatman? How do we know that this is the real Tanner and that the Goatman just didn't kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun? So, we get into a huge argument about this where me and Tanner are like, we could seriously be in danger because at the very least someone has been sneaking into our trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. And at worst, something bad is in the forest, screwing around with us. One of the girls is crying and saying she wants to go right now. We're trying to tell her we shouldn't because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down and it's getting a little cloudy out. We eat something and turn on the radio for a while. But we can't really get a station out there with anything decent, so we turn it off at about the time that Tan's cousin shows up. He was like 19, I think. Now the sun is just barely over the horizon. He has one of those heavy-duty lantern flashlights and another rifle. He walks up to the trailer and we whisper to Tan, asking if he's sure that's his cousin. He says yes. Guy looks behind him and all around the camp, then walks in. Kind of glances at all of us and looks a little confused, and then he says, where's your other little buddy at? I figured she would meet me up at the cabin. Is she a little slow or something? He also asked whether we had been cooking blood in the cabin, because it smelled like hot blood in hot pans all the way up the trail. We are all like, nope. We ask him what he's talking about with the girl he saw. He had come down the same trail Tan had been using and found one of you guys' buddies standing in the middle of the trail, looking at him slack-jawed. He had asked her a bunch of questions, but all she did was just look at him. Then she smiled, and he said he kept walking. She couldn't seem to keep up with him and kept lagging a little behind. He said he asked her if she was hurt or something and if she needed any help, but she had continued to stare. Eventually, he had turned around a bend in the trail, but when he went back to see if she was okay, the trail was empty. He'd assumed she had taken some shortcut through the woods to our trailer. We tell him the whole story of what's been going on. I half expected him to say we were full of shit, but he just listened and then sat down on the couches in the living room. Tanner's cousin gets back to the girl. He says that when she had kept trying to lag behind him, it had kind of weirded him the hell out, so he tried to keep her in front of him. No matter how slow he walked, she was always lagging a little behind. He smelled this nasty smell and got stronger as he got to the camp. Eventually, it got really strong. She had said something really low that he didn't catch. When he had turned around, she had been right up on him. He stepped back from her, and it was at this point that he asked her if she was okay. If she wasn't, he offered to carry her back the rest of the way. She just kept staring. He said he reached out for her, as in to grab her on the shoulder, but he must have misjudged the distance because she was off to the side of where he had put his hand, like she had moved while he was looking dead at her. So, at this point, we know this is real. Unless Tan is playing a joke, which we can tell he's not because he's almost pissing his pants. So, they load up their rifles, we eat some more, and we just kind of sit around until about 11. To this day, every time I think about this, I really pray to God that it's some huge prank that my cousins played on me and just never revealed, so I would shit myself for the rest of my life. Sippy break. Smelling like hot blood. Yeah. I'm feeling a bit better. Yeah. I got some editing done today. Not for the final, not safe for work audio. I will get to that. And get all stuff. Where are these stories from? This is from the Creepypasta fandom wiki. It's a Nancy's Goatman story. This is like someone basically posted this on 4chan at one point, and someone saved it. So. Yeah, the 3D printer is busy. I finally am getting around to painting a paint holder that is it's gonna be better than what I currently am using. I'm pretty excited about it. And hello, Cheyenne. Welcome on in. I hope you are well. I hope you're having a happy Halloween. So I want to check something. That. Yep. All right. Get back to it. At round 11, the stink of copper turned into an actual gross, blood-like smell, like cooked blood and singed hair. Tan and his cousin, Reese, get the fuck up instantly and grab the rifles. There's like a half knocking, half clawing at the door, and I shit you not, there's this voice. Sounds like when you see those YouTube cats and dogs whose owners teach them how to talk. Says in this haltingly, weirdly toned voice, "Let me the fuck in. Stop fucking playing." It made my nuts creep up against my body, and one of the girls just starts crying and calling for Jesus. It was so obviously not a person talking. It didn't have the right cadence. That's some shit that I never realized until that moment, but all people have a certain cadence when they talk, no matter what language. All people have a certain kind of rhythm when they're talking. This thing didn't have any kind of cadence or rhythm. One of those YouTube cats. That's what the fuck it sounded like outside the door. And there's a YouTube link. Let's see. What does it take me to? Okay, so. Like a cat trying to talk. It sounded like one of those. Almost, just not funny. Sorry for being on a tangent, but if you can't imagine how this shit sounded, then you can't imagine how fucked up the whole situation was. So now I'm in full-on terror mode. We keep yelling outside. Who is it? Stop fucking around, man. And just keep saying, in or play for almost 15 minutes. Then the smell goes away for a while, and for the next hour or so, you can hear someone basically just creeping around in the woods and shit. Every, couple of minutes, it comes back to the door and says something. Finally, the smell fades away at around 2 in the morning. Reese says, man, fuck this, opens the door and walks outside with his rifle, fires a shot into the air and says something to the effect of, in the name of Jesus Christ, go away. He fires 2 more times, and then from the woods, right up against the river across from the trailer, it sounds like something is slowly gibbering and hooting. Then it starts screaming. It almost sounds like a woman and a cat in a bag screaming together. Like I seriously have never heard any shit like that. We can hear the brush over that way start to shake. Reese fires over into the tree line and starts backing up into the building. We lock the door, and we can hear this shit keening and screaming. Reese says something had come out of the bushes, super low to the ground, and was crawling toward the cabin. He had shot at it. Pretty much, that was how the rest of the night went. Literal, constant screaming for the next 2 hours, and shit moving out into the tree line. But it never came back up to the cabin until everyone had finally fallen asleep. Tan had been sitting in the chair, watching the door with his rifle. Nobody else heard or saw this, and he told me 2 days later after the whole thing was over. He said he had been nodding off after the screaming and the noises finally stopped. He'd been almost asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and then lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us and that the guy had nodded off. Then he said he kind of realized something was wrong, and while pretending to be sleeping, he counted us. There were 9 people in the cabin. He didn't want to try and shoot at the fucking thing and have it kill us all then and there, or have Reese wake up and start shooting and us kill ourselves, so he just stayed awake all night, pretending to be asleep. He said sometimes it would stand up and kind of do this weird jittery thing, or heave like it was laughing. Then it would lay back down. The story closes pretty weak because from my perspective, nothing happened. When we woke up, I noticed that Tan was a little jittery, that he was avoiding looking at all of us, but we ate some breakfast, packed up, and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin and said he'd lock up and bring me my uncle's keys. Told us to just start walking and that he'd catch up, which I didn't really want to do. We got a little bit up the path, and when he came running up, we just jogged back to his house. His cousin took us home. There was a window in the bathroom. Tan had gone back to lock up and looked in there. We were too stupid to lock a screenless window, and it was fucking up when he went in there. I'm guessing he'd been doing that all along, waiting for us to fall asleep or slip up, and then getting in among us. He walked with us all the goddamn way back to his house, and then he said it lagged to the back of the group and looked him dead in the eyes before walking into the woods. Spooky. That was Anansi's, whatever. Anansi's goat man story. Oh, I put 2 cats on my deck one night and got into a horrible fight. Scared the shit out of me. They were so loud. That'll happen. Yeah, I believe you. Okay. Well, let's do another one. So I picked out like 4 to do. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but I figured I'd at least do a couple, you know. So I have 3 more. I have one called Jeff the Killer, which is apparently a very popular one. Never actually read it. I have the Dionaya House, and I have Fleshgate. What are y'all thinking? I don't like the sound of Fleshgate. It's a lot I want to hear. Hear all of them? Okay. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but do Fleshgate. Not the last one? Not Fleshgate? Okay, we can skip Fleshgate. Let me be right back. I'm going to grab some water. I will leave you alone with the spooky music. And we will resume shortly. Sounds yucky. You know what? That's fair. All right. Okay. Water acquired. Let's do this. So this is like a series of emails. So I'm actually probably gonna pull this one up on screen. Maybe that's best. So people can have a better idea of the format here. Email logs, yeah. Me. Let's see here. This is called again. It's the Dionaya House. Oop. Copy. Paste. Okay. There we go. All right. This is the Dionaya House. This is like email logs of some variety, so something like that. So let's go through it. See what we got here. October 7th, 2004. Jennifer, friends, and family of Mark. As promised, here are our copies of the correspondence I received from Mark over the course of the last month. For the most part, I have merely copied and pasted them from my email application. As you'll read, he requested this in hopes that you'll better understand why he did what he did. I made this page because it's the most efficient way to share Mark's emails with all of you. I'm not advertising this to anyone, but I do think it would be wise to pass this URL along to anyone who may help with the investigation. As I collect more information from various sources, I'll update this page to keep it an accurate record. I'll have that link at the end of the series as well. If you need to speak with me, Jen has my number. Thank you for your patience, and again, I am profoundly sorry. Scoot over a little bit. There we go. September 6th, 2004. From Condry Mark. Date, Monday, September 6th, 2004. 8:17 a.m. Subject, an old friend. Eric. Hey man, it's Mark from Houston. The Saturday Night Gang. Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Found your email from your website. Looks like you're out in LA now. Cool. I remember telling you you should be out there doing the California thing. You still with Connie? I'm in Dallas now. I met someone who works in my building. Been seeing each other for 2 years now. Listen, the reason I'm writing you out of the blue is because I got this newspaper article in the mail. Maybe you got one too. It's about Andrew. You remember Drew? Travis would pick him up most of the time. Messy hair, sort of the fanboy type. I don't remember his last name until I got this thing. And now it's really disturbing me. Do you know what happened? Did you hear about it already? Let me know if you have some time to talk. I can call you or you can call me if that works better. I'm gonna see if I can track down Travis and Dave. Quick search didn't seem to turn up any leads, but maybe they just don't have websites. If you still talk to either of them, let me know. Thanks, Mark. From Condry Mark. Date, Wednesday, September 8th, 2004, 7:44 a.m. Subject, RE, an old friend. Eric, thanks for the quick reply. I didn't mean to sound cryptic in my first email. I'm just reluctant, I guess. I hadn't really seen or thought about Andrew since he stopped showing up for game night, and that was 5 years ago. That was about the time we all went our own ways back in 1999. You moved out west, I moved up to Dallas, etc. So when I got this article in my mailbox, it caught me by surprise. And yeah, I'll transcribe the thing for you. I wasn't sure if maybe you were the one who sent it to me. I'll put it in this email at the bottom. Oh, okay. I remember him. He was never the kid with the idea. He was the kid who agreed with yours. Slowest to get the joke, usually laughed the longest. That's Andrew in a nutshell, yeah. At least how I remember him. Got on my nerves sometimes, but damn if he didn't love being part of the gang. He'd ask me for some poker chips on card night or borrow dice from my bag, that sort of thing. Whenever we played Tecmo Bowl on your Nintendo, he always wanted to be on my team, which would have been fine if he was any good. I haven't heard from Travis and Dave in years. They fell off the radar about the same time you did. None of us made much attempt to stay in touch. It was just one of those things. That's okay. I wasn't trying to point fingers. It happens. But I was hoping you had already heard about Andrew, like you'd gotten a copy of the article. I still haven't been able to get a number or email for Travis or Dave. Maybe they know more about this than we do. Andrew usually just hitched a ride with Travis most of the time. It was on the way home for Travis. Didn't Andrew live with his mom, like in an apartment? And his stepdad was a real estate broker, had that one house way out past Highway 6. You remember that? Andrew was scared to death of that house. Here's the article. There's a photo of Andrew with it. Looks like maybe his driver's license photo. Still had messy hair. Gunman shoots two, kills self in Boise restaurant. Diners at the roadside breakfast cafe on Interstate 84 fled to the parking lot in a panic yesterday afternoon when a man entered and began shooting patrons inside, killing two. The couple, John and Lucy Madsen, were having lunch when 26-year-old Andrew Hughes entered, wielding a Smith & Wesson .59 pistol, according to police. Witnesses claim the perpetrator was muttering to himself as he approached the smoking section and opened fire into the first occupied booth, fatally wounding the Madsens. Soon after, he turned the weapon on himself. All three were taken by paramedics to St. Alphonsus Regional Medical Center, where John Madsen and the shooter were pronounced dead. Lucy Madsen, 37, remained in critical condition for several hours, but did not survive the night. Police are investigating Hughes' work and personal background, but as of this morning, a motive for the attack is unknown. If there's more to the article, I didn't get it, but that's where it was torn off. The other side is part of a Dillard's ad. This is really bothering me, Eric. What the hell was Drew doing in Boise? With a fucking gun. He hung out with us for almost 2 years. I just don't get it. And something else is eating at me. I can't figure it out yet. Mark. From Condry Mark. Date, Thursday, September 9, 2004, 2 p.m. Subject, Andrew. Hey, I know how you feel. It's hard not to think about the times he sat next to us at the table, smiling like a fool. Rolling dice and moving his pieces around the board. He loved Monopoly night. Always wagged his tongue when he counted money. I don't think he realized he did that. It's impossible to think of him shooting up a diner. There's no return address on the envelope? No, but the postmark is Idaho, not California or Texas. Not sure if you've already considered this, but it's possible the whole thing is fake. Some sick practical joke made to mess with your head. You can get newsprint paper for... Yeah, I've considered it. I didn't tell you this earlier, but I called up St. Alphonsus and asked if they'd had a patient named Andrew Hughes admitted in the last month. They had no record of him. I asked if it would show if he'd been pronounced DOA and got transferred to ER, where they keep paramedic records and info on all DOAs. They have him listed. He showed up on August 28th, died of a gunshot wound to the head, pronounced dead by an ER resident at 3:14 p.m. I asked for some contact info, like a phone or address, where he might have been living. I got brushed off, told to call the police for that stuff. The hospital wouldn't give out any personal info, at least not without some signatures. I haven't called the police yet. That's probably the next step. Glad to hear that you and Connie are going strong. Sorry to sort of dump all this on you. I just didn't know who else would care to listen. I'll write if anything else comes of this. At this point, I'm thinking maybe Drew's mom sent it to me. Maybe Drew kept track of me when I moved to Dallas and had my address. I'm listed in the book. That would explain the logistics part. I'm overthinking things. Take care. Mark. Hello, Damons. Welcome on in. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. All right. Let's see. Ah, Mari. Welcome on back. I do remember you. I'll try to associate the name for the stream, but forgive me if I forget. I am not great at that sort of thing. All right. Next email. September 10th, 2004. 3:11 a.m. Subject, thoughts and concerns. Hey again. I know it's late or early, depending on how you look at it, but this Andrew thing won't go away. Finally realized what's eating at me and I need to spit it out. Do you remember what went on just before Andrew stopped showing up for game nights at your place? I do. He was gone for 2 weeks because he had to house sit for his stepfather. Mom and stepdad went on a big vacation every summer, like 10 days. Andrew was just expected to stay behind. Usually just stayed at his mom's apartment, but that year, he was asked to mind that house his stepdad owned. One out in that old rich subdivision west of Houston. Maybe the guy had a bunch of houses. He was big on real estate, wasn't he? The guy had inherited this dog from one of his clients. Somebody moved out and didn't want to take the dog with them. I want to say it was an Australian Shepherd. Do you remember any of this? Andrew talked about it the weekend before. Dog had behavioral problems. Whined, barked, scratched at the door, pissed on the carpet. Didn't want to be inside. Always wanted to be outside. Dad kept it in a kennel except when it rained. Andrew was supposed to take care of the dog, plus a few other things like mow the lawn, that sort of crap. But Andrew didn't want to go. Dave got into that argument with him about how it was the perfect setup for a young bachelor, house to all to yourself, party time, risky business, and Andrew kept saying it was too cold there for a party. Too cold. I distinctly remembered that, and how he kept asking us to drive out and stay with him while he was house sitting. I don't think anyone went out there, did they? I never did. We didn't see him for 2 Saturdays in a row. Then Travis picked him up like usual since he was back at his mom's place. That's the one night with Andrew I remember the most. I bet it's the same with you. It was the most bizarre, frustrating night I had with the group. Andrew walked in quoting some commercial verbatim. I want to say it was a Tide ad. Travis told us he was like that in the car all the way over. Commercial shows, movies, radio songs. First couple hours gaming was like being in the room with the TV on. Then he started parroting us. He just copied something we said. You remember? Tell me you remember this. I can see it in my head so clearly. Oh, and what was his response to anyone's complaints? Okay. Drew, stop quoting Law and Order episodes. Please give the Pontiac commercial a rest. Dude, shut the fuck up and roll your dice. Okay. And then he'd launch into something else a few minutes later. It wasn't just that he would regurgitate that crap. It was that he could take it so far. Whole reams of dialogue that he'd somehow memorized from one throwaway TV episode. Lyrics to entire songs. It went from odd to funny to disturbing in the first hour. Look, I'll come out and say it. Whatever happened in those 10 days, it changed him. He wasn't the same person after that. We all know this. We never talked about it. At least not with me around. But fuck if we didn't know instantly that the person who came back from that house was not Andrew. I wrote before that I hadn't thought about Andrew since 99. That was a lie. You know the way your brain sometimes reminds you of things you hate to dig up? The ones that sour your stomach? I've thought about him a few times. About that night. Was that the start of his madness, or whatever it is that drove him to shoot up a diner? Were we there to see him first lose his grip? Jesus, Eric, why the hell didn't we say anything? Is bizarre? Yeah, it's bizarre. Eric, I woke up to the phone ringing this morning. Turned out to be the reporter from the Idaho Statesman. She finally called me back. Did I tell you I called to track down the source of for the article? She didn't have any new developments on the story, but will continue to follow up with the police. I asked if she had any other details about the crime, stuff that didn't find its way into the article, and we sort of went over her notes. Most of it I already knew, but there was one piece of info that caught my attention. She wrote in the article that Andrew was mumbling or muttering to himself when he entered the restaurant, but she didn't put in what he was saying. According to witnesses, he kept repeating, "The door is open." Does that make any sense to you? The door is open? Write me back, Mark. Eric, haven't heard from you. Just writing to let you know I've had a day to put some distance from the whole thing and I've made a decision. I'm gonna drive to Houston and see if I can find someone in Andrew's family. I once rode with Travis to pick Drew up. I think I know where his mom used to live. From there, maybe I can find the stepdad in the house. I've tried the Boise lead already, called the cops and got more questions than answers. Now some Lieutenant Perez plans to call me back in case he needs more testimony from me. Like I know anything. Apparently Andrew was living alone in a rental up there, working at a Blockbuster Video. That's about all I got from the cops in Idaho. So I'm aiming for Houston. Even driving my own car in a cheapo motel, it's still gonna cost me about $200 for the trip. Jenny is worried about me. She'd rather I stay and pretend the police will figure this out on their own, but I have to go down there, Eric. Here's why. I think Andrew was afraid of that house for a reason. Whatever that reason was, during those 10 nights, something emptied him. Gutted Andrew like a fish. It yanked out whatever he was inside or shocked him into forgetting it all away. He was hollowed out. Filled the void, he absorbed any input he could find. Television, radio, conversation, soaked it up and presented it as Andrew. He could walk and talk, and he wasn't injured. Not physically. But he wasn't the same either. There's a gap I need to fill in my head. Like the time in that house, I have these pieces of Andrew that just don't match. I need something to match. Hell, I'll feel better if something will just make sense. I want to ask you to fly down and join me. But I could use your help all the same. I have some questions you might be able to answer. Please call me or send me a note if you know any of these. My phone is... Removed Eric. What was the stepfather's name, first or last? What was his mom's name? Was her last name also Hughes? What was the name of the subdivision where the stepdad's house was? I think Andrew mentioned it. I hope I haven't freaked you out too much with my crazy talk. I know it probably comes off sounding absurd, some of it, or maybe not. You were there for some of this. If you really think I'm off my noggin, tell me. By all means, tell me. Hope to hear from you soon. Mark. Eric, thanks again for calling. I got your email as well, and it mentions a few things we didn't discuss over the phone, so I wanted to add a comment or two. What I remember was that Travis told us that time he went to pick up Drew and had to go up to his room to get him. This was the last time Drew gamed with us. Travis went upstairs to his room and the kid was pacing back and forth by his bed. Everything was all neat and tucked in, but the carpet was worn in a line where Drew was pacing. Like it's all he did. Yes, I remember this too. And the way Travis told the story, like he wanted it to sound funny, but he didn't believe it was. And Dave laughed. He said, "Man, that dude's a broken record." And we all agreed, nodding and chuckling. Fuck. We all just let it go at that. It was easier to write him off. But Travis was the last one to laugh. He'd seen that room with his own eyes. Go, I really would, but Connie got sick last night and she's still throwing up this morning. I don't feel right leaving town with her like this. Understandable. You stay there, I'll continue to email you on this thing. I can't really talk about Drew with Jenny. She never knew him. She doesn't get why this is so disturbing outside of the horror that took place in Boise. That's why I keep writing you. Nobody else gets it. Hey, maybe I'll somehow find Travis or Dave while I'm in town. M. 9/14/2004. E. Made it to Houston. The traffic was hell. Traffic and a persistent rattle in the trunk wore me down. The AC unit in my motel room sounds like a submerged Cessna engine. It'll be hard for me to sleep with it on, and it's impossible with it off. Well, at least the whole internet access bit works, and I'm able to check my email. Tomorrow is a long day. I'll be prowling Braeswood in your old neighborhood to zero in on an apartment complex I went to once. Joy. Wish me luck. Mark. Hello, Karasi. Welcome on in. It's very interesting. Yes, I agree. September 15th, 2004. Eric, great news. I have a solid lead. The whole day felt like I was pulling a string from the sand, but it's pointed me in the right direction. These emails are becoming more of a journal for me to help me log my progress. I hope you don't mind. It took me an hour of driving back and forth around Gessner and Braeswood area before I zoned in on the right side of the street. On the right side street. The landmarks had changed. I was 90% sure I'd found the right apartment complex, but I was still grasping at air. With no name for Drew's mom and no guarantee her last name was Hughes, I went to the manager's office and I just got lucky. Her name is Nancy Hughes, and she stopped paying the rent in the September of 1999. Drew paid it for the rest of the lease term, which ended the following February. According to the note in the resident file, he paid in cash. Seems mom moved out or just up and left one day. Poof. Andrew was living alone in the apartment then? How was he paying for rent with just a minimum wage job? I showed the manager the article about Andrew, and then I lied. I said I was a private investigator. I don't know why. Maybe to justify why I was having her dig up rental information from 5 years ago. Anyway, she got off on it and kept rooting around in Hughes's file for me like a movie sidekick. She found something. A third-party check covered rent for December of 98. Kurt Malone. Thinking this is stepdad. Manager photocopied the check for me, and 10 minutes later, I was calling the phone number printed with Kurt's address in the upper left-hand corner. No luck there. Disconnected. So, I took another approach and called 411 for a local realtor service. You can do a search for contact information for a specific realtor. Remembered hearing about this from a coworker who'd sold his place in Greatwood. Malone was listed under a little Remax affiliate office in Katy. I got that number and called there and left a message. Okay, this song is abnormally loud. One moment. There we go. That's better. Like, that one in particular was loud. Evelyn, the owner, called me back and said Malone hadn't worked there in forever. He up and vanished. Left her with all kinds of issues. She thinks he had financial problems and bailed from Mexico. I find it hard to swallow a theory told to me in Stage Whisper, but maybe that's just her personality. Still, that's 2 people gone. Before, I thought maybe mom just moved in with stepdad. Now, I don't know what the hell to think. The call went on for half an hour as I got to hear the HR nightmare Evelyn went through thanks to Kurt's disappearance. Halting his benefits, freezing the 401k plan, surrendering documents to the police, etc. Finally broke in and asked about the house, the one out in West Houston he owned. She got very quiet after that. Took me another 10 minutes to answer her questions about who I was. This time I was honest up front with her. Guess it paid off because she believed me. Or at least believed in my intentions. She checked her records. I have an address, Eric. Kurt had his own home in Sugarland. But get this. He was renting a house from a client, way out west near Pecan Grove Plantation. The paperwork was curious since he was supposed to be selling this place, but previous owners had signed off on it in multiple places. Like it was no real conflict of interest. She didn't know what happened to the house after it was seized by the bank. I guess I'll find out tomorrow when I drive out there. I'm close, man. I'm real close. September 16th, 2004. Note, Mark was able to send text messages from his phone, but I frequently received them late, sometimes hours after he sent them, as is the case with the September 21st messages. Where are you? Call me! Holy fuck, I tried calling you 5 times yesterday, but I got your machine. I really need to talk. Call me as soon as you can. Where do I start? The house is still there. It's this generic one-story thing. Bricks and siding. It must have been built at the same time as the other homes in the neighborhood, but it just looks older. The roof is scarred in places. The driveway hasn't held up like the others have. Cracks in the pavement. A plank is missing from the side gate. I rang the doorbell and figured I'd just talk to the new owners. No one answered. I couldn't really hear if it worked or not. Blinds and curtains in the windows kept me from peering inside. There was this dusty pickup truck with a warped front fender parked in the driveway. A neighbor across the street saw me checking it out. He talked to me for a while as he watered his shrubs. He hasn't met the person who lives in the house now, or doesn't know if anyone is living there really. He remembered Kurt, but not by name, just as the guy who stayed there for a few months. The previous owners, Kurt's clients, didn't live there that much longer. They had all sorts of problems with the house. Electrical, heating, that sort of thing. They moved out, left most of their furniture behind, he said. Packed into a big RV one day and just drove off. He still remembered their names. John and Lucy Madsen. Alrighty then. Hey, Forrest, welcome on in. I am doing all right. No complaints, though. I am expiring faster than I expected tonight. So, this will probably be the last story of the evening, unfortunately. Which sucks, because I feel like we were just getting going. But we'll see how I feel after this. And after a big chug of water. Actually, let me take a big chug of water right now. My throat feels like sawdust is slowly creeping up it. It's not great. I'm not thrilled. It's okay. Let me make do. September 18th, 2004. Hey Eric, we're playing phone tag. When you called, I was already on the plane, and when I called back, I guess you were at the hospital again. Really sorry to hear about Connie. Any idea what it is yet? Food poisoning? Something else? What are the doctors saying? I'm in Boise now. Yeah, I nabbed a ticket on short notice. Got on standby. I left my car at the George Bush Airport in Houston. Jen freaked out when I told her. Then she got very terse. Said I should do what will make me happy and hung up. What will make me happy? Christ. I don't know a soul in Idaho. I haven't slept in 2 days. I'm charging everything to my Visa, and I have no idea how I'm going to pay it off. My watch stopped working yesterday. I've got this weird ringing in my right ear. It comes and goes. Annoying as hell. I'll tell you what will make me happy. Closing my eyes and not seeing Andrew staring back at me. What are you going to do once you get there? Do you plan on telling the police the Madsen connection? Do you think the Madsens left something in that house that drove Drew nuts and he killed them for it years later? Seriously, this is fucked up. Yeah. I don't know what to think. Right now, it's just a connection. They lived in the same house. The Madsens were there for 4.5 months, and Drew was there for 10 days. I have no idea what it means. I'll email you when I figure something out. Feel like I should pass this along to some people, like to get you some help out there, or bring in the feds or something. I don't know if anyone else has managed to make the connection you did, and it's an important one to the case. Can I forward your emails and contact info to someone? I've been thinking about that because I was going to ask you to do that for me at first, but now I don't think this will get me the kind of help I need. Let's face it, there are enough unexplainable pieces of this thing. I'm going to get two kinds of interest. Nuts and skeptics. I wouldn't mind so much the skeptic, except I get this vision in my head of some guy calling Jenny, calling my parents, calling the boss at work, looking to paint the picture of a guy who's lost his mind after hearing that his dead friend went nuts. Really haven't been totally honest with Jenny or my supervisor at the office, because this is not something you can easily explain. I've been calling in sick to work. I told Jen I had to go to Boise to attend a pseudo wake. I don't want that to bite me in the ass while I'm looking into Andrew's past. Here's what you can do for me, though. You can hold on to this stuff as evidence or whatever. If something crazy happens and I'm in trouble, use this to explain the situation for me. Forward emails to my friends or family. Maybe if they read them, they'll understand what I'm going through. I know you didn't mean to inherit this job. I'm sorry to make you do it, but I really appreciate the help. Mark, in Potato Land. He's going crazy investigating it. He really is. September 20th, 2004. Update. I called the hospital, the one where Andrew was taken back in August, and asked some pointed questions about where Andrew's body went. Who picked it up? Did a relative or friend show up? The answer was no, but he was tagged with John and Lucy. I kept demanding some sort of lead, so the intern gave me the names of the relatives who were called in to confirm the IDs of the Madsens and to arrange for funeral home delivery. John's cousin lives out here. I'm going to head out and meet Greg Archer, the cousin, and his wife. I'll write again from the hotel. M. Back. That was strange. I met the Archers. I know what you said last time I called, how I need to stop lying because it'll make it harder on me later, but I wasn't about to tell them I'm a good friend of the guy who killed Greg's cousin. I said I knew the Madsens when they were in Houston. I had some burning questions about what happened to them. As I claimed, they practically dropped off the map when they left town. I hadn't heard from them since. Greg did most of the talking. His wife Helen was pleasant in that stiff smile way, but she found ways to interrupt my chat with Greg and remind him of other things he needed to get done. The more she did it, the more I encouraged Greg to keep chatting. The Madsens, as he tells it, had a long future planned in Houston. John got a transfer to a Schlumberger Oil and looked forward to settling down. Then, things started to go wrong after they moved in. Just little things that piled up. Their car kept getting flat tires. Lucy broke her ring finger while futzing with the dishwasher. Trouble getting mail. Their phone got disconnected when they didn't pay the bill for 2 months. A bill they never got. That sort of thing. Finally, something happened. Greg doesn't know what. It was enough to get them to put the house on the market. That same week, John sold all his company stock, gutted his 401k, quit his job, and put everything into a big RV. He and Lucy drove off in their new motorhome and never looked back. They've been driving around the country the last 5 years. Nomadic. Lucy got pregnant in 2002 but miscarried. They still kept on the road. Greg thinks they would have just kept driving through Idaho if the RV hadn't broken down with an AC problem. Greg says John called him up out of the blue and asked if he and Lucy could stay over. Greg made the guest room upstairs, and he and Helen welcomed them in their house for a week. This was right before the shooting. Here's where it gets stranger. Greg took me up to the guest room and pointed to some spots on the carpet, right in front of the closet door. Furniture, footprints, like something had stood there. Greg says it was the dresser, the one against the opposite wall. They barricaded the closet door for the duration of their stay. It was the strangest thing. I also noticed they kept the bedroom light on around the clock and bundled up with the spare set of woolen blankets for the bed. Craig never found the right way to ask a number of questions. I think he felt a little better talking to me about it. I'm not his cousin, but I'm someone who listened to him and agreed it was bizarre. I left Greg and Helen's not feeling any better. I feel worse now. I ache the way you're sore right before you get really sick. I'm trying to put things together, I really am. I have to go to the police now, don't I? I'll go first thing in the morning. I promise, Eric. Hey, I just saw this thing on the Discovery Channel. Probably a rerun, but I bet you can catch it sometime. All about natural predators and stuff. Wild things. Yeah, I'm up watching TV since I can't sleep. Anyway, they had this thing on the Venus flytrap, talking about how it lures the curious insect to its lip, and then these invisible hairs or something sense when one of the suckers lands on it, and wham! Swallows the bug. Just like that. Later on, it spits out the skeleton of the fly and waits for the next victim. Some types of fly traps emit this odor to entice more food, says the voice on the TV. Fancy name for them is Dionyscipula. So I wonder if that's all this is. This whole thing with the shooting and the anonymous article in Houston and the footprints on the carpet. It's all to get me into the Venus flytrap. Only the scent isn't sweet sap. It's guilt. Guilt over all those times I was around Drew and didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Now I'm flying all over the fucking country and my head is buzzing and I think I'm getting close to the truth, but really I'm tickling some invisible hair and the ground is about to fold up on me and swallow me down to that place where Nancy Hughes and Ken Malone went. I'm gonna go take some sleeping pills. I hope Connie is getting better, man. I miss Jen. She has a way of making me feel like I'm home just by being around her. I'm tired of motels. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm so sorry. Eric. Bingo. I went to the police and asked to talk to Lieutenant Perez. Instead, I got Detective Sokoloff. He said he was working the Hughes case now. I'm more inclined to think he was just running interference for Perez in case I was a wacko. Anyways, I told him about the Madsen connection with Andrew to see if that would help. He said they'd look into it. Then he started with the questions about me, and I looked for a way to cut the chat short. Police stations make me uncomfortable. The rest of the talk was rather banal, but at the end of it, almost offhandedly, he asked if I wanted to sign for Andrew's personal effects, since they had copies of all the important stuff. I said sure, even though it made me feel like they've already written off this case. Drew's been busy the last 4 years. He has driver's licenses for Kansas, Colorado, Arizona, California, and Idaho. Looks like he stayed at friends' homes because none of the addresses printed on the licenses have apartment numbers. His Idaho license is just 2 months old, and it has the address of the rental home where he stayed. I'm gonna drop by this afternoon and see what happened to his things. Maybe there's a clue to how he knew where to find the Madsens, or why he shot them. Perez or somebody has done this already, I'm certain, but I'm not sure he looked very far. Wish me luck. Mark. Oh, God. Sorry. Standing in front of the house now. It's the same one. The Houston house. Same marks on roof. Same fence damage. Just talked to old man across street. He says house has been here for years. Rented out as far back as he can remember. I rang the doorbell. No answer. It's exactly the same, Eric. I don't understand. Ears ringing again. I don't know what to do. How is it the same? There's a way into the house here. Where are you? Pick up the phone. I'm going inside. Inside the house. Nobody's here. Air is cold. Metal smell. I found stairs. Going up. Didn't see second story from street. Did you call? Signals cut off. 3 bars, then no bars. I'm looking for more of Drew's stuff here. Layout is really bizarre. Lots of room. Door at end of hall. Made of metal. Checking other rooms instead. Call? Found something. Drew's backpack. Getting out of here now. I think someone's here. I just heard something. The door is open. Oh my God. Creepy. Hello, Eric. This is Jennifer. I'm on Mark's PC now. I did like you suggested, and I've looked through his outbox, and I don't see any emails about this to anyone else. There aren't that many, really. He didn't tell me a lot of this stuff, Eric. Like, now I'm reading the last thing he sent you back on the 13th. I didn't know he was so emotional. Why didn't he tell me about this? But anyway, like you said, he wrote to you from his laptop when he was in Houston and Boise. And the police up there said they found that in his hotel room, and they're taking their own sweet time checking it out for clues. So yeah, I will keep asking for that to be sent down. Where else should I look? I don't know what else to do here except wait until you come down and look at it. He does have AIM, but I can't tell where the chat logs would be saved or anything if he's done that. Please tell me what else I can do. You know more about what he was up to than anyone else because of this old friend the two of you had who went crazy, and now Mark is missing for almost a week. Please send me the other emails he sent you. Please, I want to know now. Jen. And that was on September 27th, 2004. From Postmaster. Friday, October 1st, 2004, 1:30 p.m. Subject, undeliverable mail. Unknown user X. Receipt to generated following response. 550 unknown user. X at x.x. Original message follows. From x at x.x. Date, Friday, October 1st, 2004, 12:47 p.m. Subject, no subject. Human arm and leg bones found on street. Scottsdale residents got a shock at the start of their morning commute when they found what seems to be human bones lying in the road on Sage Drive. Crime scene technicians arrived within half an hour and began to sweep the scene for more evidence that might help identify this human victim, or at least establish an approximate time of death. Police spokesman Daniel Swift said bone evidence alone isn't usually enough to determine identity or even cause of death. These remains didn't just appear in the road, they were moved here, Swift said. Therefore, we're asking any witnesses to contact the police with information that might pertain to what happened. No other evidence was found along Sage Street or in yards of neighboring homes. More on this story as it develops. Whoever you are, whatever you are, fuck you. I may not know you, but I can tell what this is, and I'm not fooled. Your Venus flytrap game won't work. I'll make damn sure to warn Jenny and the others too. So nice try, but no one is falling for your bait this time. It stops here. It is updates. It has become painfully obvious that, although I want this to end, for all of us to have closure regarding Mark's disappearance, the trail he left has raised too many unanswered questions. Since the time I first published this site for Jen and those close to Mark, new information continues to arrive from a variety of sources. In my last posted email, I refused to take the bait. I said it would stop here, but it doesn't stop there. Not by any stretch. This page will chronicle my findings and other resources as I discover them. Some may have no connection to how or why Mark vanished. Only time will tell. A final note for those of you like Sandra and Nathan Condry. The truth is, I don't know yet what to believe with this whole thing, but I know what I don't want to believe. October 14th, 2004. Jen called. She spoke with Boise police again yesterday, and they have finally agreed to ship down the laptop. When she gets it and looks at it herself, she'll send it my way. If I find anything new, I'll add it here. October 17th, 2004. Among the spam today, I received this email from someone who seems to have stumbled upon the site. From Mr. Paranoia. Subject, the house. Very interesting. If it's real, I have some information for you. I don't know Mark, but that won't matter once I send you this link. Based on what I've researched, those who have figured out what this flytrap house is risk becoming its next victim. Not everyone is eaten by it/them. Maybe some may just not be psychologically susceptible to it, the way some aren't able to be hypnotized. But if you walk away knowing too much about it, the house will get to you sooner or later. Witness the Madsons. Maybe you don't want to know anything else. Well, regardless of how I feel about it, this site isn't for me. So in case you read it here first, please send me what you have and I'll decide if I want to share it. Mr. Paranoia. Also, don't expect me to publish your messages to me ever again. I am not a PR firm. October 22nd, 2004. After sharing emails several times with Mr. Paranoia, he finally sent the leak mentioned in the October 17th email. Jen, I've read it already. I want you to treat it as a hoax unless you get something in the mail from a grocery store in Arizona. Call me when you've read it and we'll talk. It's a live journal site, which means to read it chronologically, you need to scroll to the bottom of the page and work your way up. The journal author is allegedly a 16-year-old named Danielle Stevens. Here is the link. Oh, there is a link. Oh, this is... Oh. Oh, there's like... Oh my god. Oh, okay. Maybe I take the tangent and read the link. We're almost to the end here. Let's take the tangent and read the link. This is the live journal. We'll read it chronologically. So, Monday, October 11th, 2004, 10:21 p.m. New job. Hi, everybody, especially Jonathan, XOXO, cat face emoji, or blushing emoji. Here we go. It's Danny's first LJ. Hee. Well, it took me long enough. I just needed a reason for one. My life is pretty boring for the most part, so trying to keep a diary going felt like too much work. But whenever I get a job, like over the summer, I always have these great stories to tell. Like when I worked as a lifeguard for the Highland YMCA outdoor pool, or at the public library last year. You wouldn't think you'd meet so many weirdo people or end up on crazy adventures like raccoon hunting with the drain net. Hee. But it happens all the time to me. Well, this time I will be sure to write them down here because I have a new job. That's right. It's all part of Danny's... Sorry. The 3D printer just finished. We'll let it sit for a moment. Because I have a new job. That's right. It's all part of Danny's genius plan to pay for Xmas. I want to get my friends and family nice things this year, so I took a babysitting job at a house 3 blocks away. Babysitting. Yeah. Doesn't sound like a steady job, but this one is different. The Ellisons are both full-time working parents, programmers at some tech company downtown. When big deadlines get close, both of them have to work hella bad OT hours, and they need someone to watch their daughter, Linny, from 5 to 10, Monday through Thursday. That seriously cuts into my downtime after school. But it's worth it. I keep telling myself that. I went over tonight and met Linny and Mr. and Mrs. Ellison. They look like total geeks. Their living room has a big screen TV and also a table with 2 PCs and a bunch of other gear like DVD burners. The place is cold. They must run the AC to keep their hardware from overheating. It's like that in the school computer room all the time. Linny is 8. She's quiet and shy, but she has the cutest crooked teeth smile. She likes Nintendo and Barbie. I think we'll get along fine. My first day is tomorrow. It's so weird to have someone's house key on my keyring. I guess my references were good for them, though. Wish me luck. XOXO Danny. Current mood, bouncy. Valley Girl voice. I can't engage it. I tried at the start there, but we're getting through this one, but I'm definitely, yeah, this is gonna be the last story of the night. unfortunately. Tuesday, October 12th, 2004, 10:55 p.m. First night, ... Whew, I'm back. First night babysitting was pretty easy. I got there a little before 5 and met Kathy. She's the one who takes Linny home from school. She has a boy who goes there too. She knew Mr. and Mrs. Ellison when they lived in Chicago and helped them find a place there. She was in a hurry, I guess, but she seems kind of rude. She told me to be on time so I don't have to wait for you. I was on time. I was early. Linny was still very quiet, but she doesn't know me, so that's okay. We played some Nintendo, and after dinner, she wanted to play house. She has a dollhouse in her room. It's really cute. I grabbed a Barbie doll and started to play with her, but she told me Barbie wasn't the right size for the house. It's true, too. Barbie is just way too tall. See what long legs gets you sometimes? But Linny doesn't have any dolls for the house. She said it doesn't need any because it's just a house, but I think she secretly wants some. If we get along, I may add that to my Danny Xmas list project. Hee hee. I gotta remember to take a jacket with me next time, though. It's way cold, and I didn't find the thermostat. I was gonna say something when Linny's mom and dad came home, but when they showed up, they looked so tired. I don't know how they work such crazy hours. I just got my money and told them I'd be there tomorrow. That was it. Pretty uneventful first day. So sleepy now. Off to bed. XOXO, Danny, current mood, sleepy. Wednesday, October 13th, 2004. Tonight was pretty bizarre. Linny spent most of it in her room playing quietly, which was okay for me since I had to finish my Amer history paper. I made her soup for dinner and checked on her from time to time. But when it got close to her bedtime, I heard her talking to someone. So I went back to see if she was calling to me or just chatting with her dolls. She isn't supposed to be on the phone. She was moving furniture around in her little house, just talking to herself. I think she was repeating stuff she overheard somewhere. Maybe even in the house. You know how sometimes kids say stuff they don't realize could get their parents in trouble? I think Linny was whispering, "Come on, Rick, answer the phone," and the door. Is Mrs. Ellison maybe seeing Rick on the side? When I tucked Linny in bed and I asked her what she was saying before, and she just shrugged and said it was stuff she heard. When I asked her where she heard them, she said, around. We'll see if the plot thickens tomorrow night. Off to bed now. Danny. Current mood, confused. Thursday, October 14th, 2004. Crooked. OMG. Linny is a strange little girl. Last night it was weird phrases. Tonight it was a rhyme or some children's song. Something about a crooked man with six pants. I don't know. I mean, she can be cute and smiles a lot, but already I worry she doesn't get enough attention from her parents. Well, duh. Otherwise I wouldn't have this job. She wanted to go to bed early tonight. I tucked her in and she hugged me and kept her arms around me for so long. She's definitely going to get an Xmas present from me, even if I'm not her sitter by then. I told her a story to put her to sleep about a family of bears in a big house. I was using her dollhouse as the one where the bears lived, you know, just improvising. So I was looking over at it and saw she had colored a room upstairs in red, marking it all up in magic marker. I asked her what that room was, and she just said, the one upstairs. Why is it red? Linny just shrugged like she didn't know. What's it for? It smells like cookies and candy. See what I mean? Strange, strange, strange. No idea what that's about. Oh, I almost forgot. On my way back to the living room, I found a set of keys on the floor in the hall, just lying there. I was like, what the F? They weren't mine, and the house keys didn't work on the doors to the house. I don't know how I missed them before. I think they belonged to Rick. Hee hee. Anyways, they have one of those grocery keychain cards on them, so I took them. Maybe I should hand them over to Mr. and Mrs. Ellison, but what if I'm right and Mom is having an affair and these are to her BF's place? I don't want to get anyone in trouble. This weekend, I'm going to go to the store and have them scan the little key card for me to see who it is. I'll be a good Samaritan and nosy at the same time. John's little brother sacks at one of the Camelback, I think. Yawn. What a week. Finally, I get a weekend to myself, though. All right, if I find anything juicy about the keys, XOXO, Danny. Current mood, cold. Saturday, October 16th, 2004. Keys. Well, that was a letdown. Okay, so I went and had the keychain card thing scanned at Fry's, which worked even though they were for another place because it's all part of a big chain of stores. Keys don't belong to anyone named Rick at all. The guy told me they were for someone named Mark Hondry, I think it was. He lives in Texas. I didn't get them back either. It's policy to have the store mail them back. Whatever. Still, makes me wonder what in the world they were doing in Mr. and Mrs. Ellison's hall. LOL. Listen to me like I'm Nancy Drew. Okay, off to the mall. John is waiting. XOXO, Danny. Current mood, curious. All right. Monday, October 18th, 2004. Back on the job. What a weekend. Mark's keys. Yeah, Mark's keys. It's all connected. What a weekend. Let's see. I hung out with John, saw the puppet movie by those South Park guys, and went lipstick shopping because I read this article how lipstick is all undervalued now, like people don't wear it as often, and I love lipstick. Rebel. Tonight was pretty boring. Linny was her usual quiet self, and we spent most of the night watching TV. We watched Aladdin twice, and then it was bedtime. The house wasn't as cold this time, or maybe it wasn't that bad since I brought a jacket and kept it on. Oh, I burned dinner. That was frustrating because I know I said it for the right time. So I made us PB&J sandwiches instead. I'm such a mom. No joking about that. I gotta tell you, this one weird part was when I was cleaning up in the kitchen after putting Linny to bed. I heard what sounded like someone barreling downstairs. Only there are no stairs in the Ellison's house. I think it was just the TV, or maybe the garage door just makes it sound like that, because the Ellisons came in a few minutes later. Boy, they looked tired. They could have used a couple of Danny's special PB&Js themselves. I still don't know if I should mention finding the keys that belong to that Mark guy or not. Anyway, time for bed. Danny. Current mood, sleepy. Oh my god, how much more is there? I'm dying. Tuesday, October 19th. Actually, let me check. Oh, we're almost done. Okay. Okay. Tuesday, October 19th, 2004. Why am I doing this again? Bleh. I don't feel so good. I have a headache for half the night, just pounding the back of my eyes. I've taken like 4 Advil already and won't go away. Babysitting was a nightmare. I had 2 papers to write, plus lit homework, plus Tuesdays are workout days for me. But I got up late, couldn't work out in the morning, so I sort of squeezed in a quick 20-minute session after school. OMG, Linny kept singing that stupid rhyme all night, drove me nuts. I swear if I hear it one more time, I'll snap. I had such a hard time with everything tonight. The house got really cold at one point, made my ears ring. You know that high-pitched sound like they use for the test of the emergency broadcast system? Yeah, my ear was doing that. I thought it was the computers at first. Did I tell you about the PCs in the living room? Anyways, they are always on. I went and checked them. The table is like a spaghetti bowl of cables leading off behind furniture or into the wall. Turns out it's not them. The ringing was in my ear, but the Ellisons had some sort of monitoring program going on. All these numbers were scrolling like mad in a window. Program wasn't anything I recognized, but the file name was like TMP test _ addict. I didn't want to get in trouble, so I didn't touch them. It got warm in the hall. Linny and I stayed there for a while. It also smelled good there, like a bakery. I think the vents must be messed up in that house. Seriously, I don't know how anyone could live like that all the time. I want to quit, but I don't want to hurt Linny's feelings. Maybe I should just suck it up. Gah, there goes the ringing again. Current mood, drained. Wednesday, October 20th, 2004. Home finally. It's taken me this long to feel good enough to type. I got home over an hour ago. If last night was awful, tonight was 100 times worse. I don't know where to start. I got there at 5, waved bye to Kathy, played with Linny some. TV was acting up, so we had dinner early. I made some raviolis with pasta sauce, and it was good. And when I was taking Linny's plate, I thought I felt something touch me, and it made me jump, and the bowl spilled onto Linny's shoulder. She had pasta sauce in her hair. She asked for a bath, which was fine, but I had not given her a bath before. I was a little uncomfortable just because I wasn't familiar with the temp settings on the tub, and I didn't know how Linny's mom and dad would feel about it. But Linny kept pleading with me to stay with her for the bath, so I ran the water and helped her into the tub. This stream came out of the faucet as the tub filled up. It made Linny nervous. I tried to tug on it, but and pull it all the way out, but it must have been caught on something inside the pipes. It just dangled from the faucet and floated on the water. Some of the pasta sauce had gotten in Linny's hair, so I rinsed it out a little. There wasn't any soap in the guest bath, so I went into the Ellison's bedroom to borrow from the master bath. That's when Linny started screaming. I have never been so chilled to the bone before hearing her tonight. It was horrible hearing her scream. I turned and ran back as fast as I could. When I got back, she was hanging onto the edge of the tub trying to get out, and the string was wrapped around her leg. I yanked and yanked it out again, but it wouldn't budge, and Linny kept screaming, "Get it off! Get it off!" And so I started to try and unwind it from her leg, but the shampoo in the water or something made it slippery, and I started crying, and then suddenly the string went slack, and I tore Linny away. She had a set of marks on her like stripes where the string had cut into her skin. Later, when I went back with a pair of scissors, the string was gone, and the water had drained away. We spent the rest of the night in the living room on the couch, piled under 2 blankets and pillows from the Ellison's bed. Linny eventually fell asleep, but I was so worried about her and confused about what happened. I was a nervous wreck. Around 9 p.m., one of the PCs started beeping like crazy. I got up to check on it. An alert had popped up. It said, like that. An alert had popped up. It said, like that. Then the power cut out and back on again. Only some of the lights didn't come on. Just the light from down the hall. In the hall, it was easier to see, but I took a wrong turn on my way back. The tiny hall and door that leads to the garage was not where I thought it was. Instead, I found a set of stairs. Like, real stairs. Going up. And it smelled like cake. Right out of the oven. I felt so lost and strange. I can't explain it, except I didn't think the house had a second story. It's too hard to see from the outside. I finally found a way into the kitchen, and from there, went back to Linny, who was still asleep. It got real cold after that. When the Ellisons got home, I told them about the bath and the other problems, but I didn't mention the stairs. Then I told them I couldn't babysit anymore. I think I used schoolwork as an excuse. They said they understood, but I could tell they were depressed about it. I'm sorry, but I just can't keep doing it. Well, Mrs. Ellison asked me to please just make it for one more night, and then they would find a new sitter over the weekend to start on Monday. She paid me in advance for tomorrow, too. I didn't want to say yes. I don't want to go back, but I felt so bad for leaving them on such short notice. And really, what if it's just me being a spaz? Like, I'm freaking myself out over nothing. Anyway, I told Mrs. Ellison, yes, one more night, I can do this. I will come back and tell you about the final 5 hours sitting for Linny in that house. And come Friday, I will talk about something new, like my friends Don or Kim, or how I love Starbucks, strawberry cream fraps or whatever, just to keep me in the habit of writing here. I think I've been pretty good about it. Anyway, I sort of get on and start typing automatically before I go to bed. Okay. I wish I wasn't so scared of going back. I feel so empty. Danielle, current mood, numb. Blah. Thursday, October 21st, 2004. 11:41 p.m. There was a crooked man, and he walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence upon a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat who caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a crooked little house. Red Rover, let Jenny come home. Well, that wasn't creepy at all. All right. That was the live journal from Danielle Stevens. Red Rover, let Jenny come home. Who could that be referring to? October 26, 2004. Jen, please call me back. I know it must be driving you crazy, but do not go to Phoenix. Mark was never there. Despite what the postmark says on that box, the keys are just like the article about Andrew. Bait. Please don't do this. Send me the laptop and we'll figure it out together, okay? I wouldn't have put this here if you'd answered your phone. I know you visit this page regularly. Call me. October 26, 2004, late. Lots of responses. I didn't expect this. Thank you for your support and your technical notes. At this time, I cannot involve and will not involve anyone else for a number of reasons. Please respect my decision on this matter. I will keep the contact information for the paranormal investigators, and I will continue to help those close to Mark as best I can. Please, no more phone calls. Connie is going out of her mind. Thank you. October 27th, 2004. Sandra, Nathan, check your email. I finally heard back from the Sprint PC's service rep today. No more account authorization hassles. He saw the record show and a bill for only 14 text messages from Mark's phone on September 21st. The last one timestamped at 5:11. He's sending me a copy of the logs, but I'm not sure if they'll do us any good at this point. Awaiting the laptop now. October 28th, 2004. I've been contacted by Diane M., who says she was friends with Lucy Madsen when she lived in Houston. Hello, Eric. A friend linked me to this site asking if I was the same Lucy I knew when I lived in Sugarland. After doing some reading, I'm convinced it is. I had no idea what happened to her after she and John moved. Lucy and I met through a little book club some mutual friends started up. We were both avid readers. Yes, she and John had all sorts of unexplainable problems with that house. I remember seeing some of them firsthand, like the leak. After reading about your friend Mark, I stewed a bit, then called up my father. I often talked with Lucy on AIM when she lived here, and thought maybe some of those old dialogues would be of use to you. But they would have been on my old PC, which I gave to my dad, a year ago. I went over earlier tonight and dug through the program files for any sign of my AIM chats with Lucy way back when. Dad had removed a lot of stuff. He deletes things. But I did find a scrap from February 99. It's the one I remembered, the one that made me curious to visit. No, I don't really think it's a supernatural thing. I'm more prone to think Lucy had a sort of nervous breakdown and created or imagined traumatic moments in the house. The rest of it, like your friend's experiences, I can't explain. But I hope you find closure soon. The attachment would open, but hopefully Diane will try again. Update, I got the chat log and converted it to HTML. I don't know if Diane is still using her screen name or if Lucy's taken a new user by now. So to protect them from unwarranted IMs, I've removed the numbers from the ends of their nicks. If there are users with the nicks in this log, they are not the same people. FYI, here's the AIM chat log. Okay. Let me look at the chat. Okay. This is them talking about the problems with the sink. I would go into it, but my throat is dying. Sorry. All right. October 29th, 2004. Laptop arrived. There's a lot to sort through here, most notably some pictures Mark must have downloaded from his camera phone, but his laptop wasn't equipped with Photoshop or any other photo app, so I can't see more than thumbnails. I'll move them to my hard drive along with recent files and see what I can find. Also, it's crunch time at the office, so I'll be working this weekend. FYI, maybe we could all use a little mental break from this. 10/31, 2004. Hooray for automated FTP uploading. If this sees a publication, it means I'm still not back from my trip to the never-ending suburban grid in the valley. Consider it a precautionary update. When I return, I will remove this link since I can't stand sounding like some sort of martyr, nor do I like to cause a panic. In the meantime, in case it could wind up being important, I've been keeping a personal blog on a remote host. Don't worry about me, Connie. I'm sure I'll have quite a story to tell. E. Blog has been removed. Interesting. October 4th, 2005. This is Connie. It's been nearly 1 year since Eric drove off and never came back. I don't know how to do HTML. I don't know if this is how Eric did things. I'll be doing good just to copy this page back onto the website. What has happened in a year? A lot. Not enough. I don't have any answers, just a million questions. Let's see. I met Jennifer and Rachel, who is Cam's girlfriend. The three of us still keep in touch. Legally, Eric and Mark and Cam are considered missing. That makes some things very hard on us. What else? I have a mountain of files, emails, letters, digital photos that may or may not have anything to do with their disappearance. Every time I try to start in, I got overwhelmed. So last week, I hired someone to go through all of it for me and see if anything made sense. The reason I'm finally learning this thing is that he has found one or two pieces to this puzzle, and I feel a responsibility to continue what my husband began. This is a test post. Later this week, after I hear back from Jenny, I will post more information. October 12th, 2005. Well, for one reason or another, the new information has yet to be verified. So, until I hear back from my source, I can't post the link. Now, I get how hard this is. You never know who is on the other end of a modem. Thanks to your patience, all three of you who are still reading. October 14th, 2005. Despite the fact that she just used her diary to lash out at me instead of answering me privately, I will link to a live journal by a woman who claims to know about what both Mark and Eric were investigating. Edit. Okay, I'm still figuring out this link thing. The blog of Lorraine Mathers. Hope that works. XOC. And this is the last thing, and it's a blog that does not exist anymore. Well, that was spooky. Bit creepy. House that sucks people in. To what end? That's what I'm curious about. Very spooky, very scary. But that said, I'm dying. I'm surprised I lasted the full 2 hours, honestly. I thought I'd be a bit better off tonight, but definitely gonna have to do some more recovery here. Thank you all for dropping by. I really do appreciate it, even with the extremely short notice. So many of you showed up tonight. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Eat well, sleep well, hydrate, don't dehydrate. Posture check. Make sure you're not all shrimped up. I should be... if I'm not streaming, someone will be streaming Abiotic Factor on Saturday, and I will be there. So, until then, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye!